Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started today, and we're going to be talking today about 21 Online. And this is the first time I've done a class on this particular subject. So it's going to be, I figure, a good full class. This is going to be talking about all the services and tools that you have available to you through Century 21. So when you first joined our system, you would have received 2 emails from Century 21. One would be your login, and the second is your password. So hopefully you still have those, and maybe you went into the system. But today I'm going to be giving you an overview of some of the most frequently used tools and services. As an agent, you may not use all of these tools. You may find maybe 5 or 6 of them that you really like, that you feel like you can incorporate into your business. But I'm going to give you an overview today. Also, every one of the tools that we're going to be talking about has additional training. So if you decide I really like this particular one and I want to use it all the time, there's additional training. I'm only doing an overview today, just so you know what each of the tools are. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So you should all see right now my screen, which is 21 Online. So to access this, you're going to go to 21online.com. That is the 21 Online dashboard. Only people that have access to this are going to be other agents, staff, managers, brokers, and managers. So it's really just the core group that has access to this. This is not something for customers. It's only for us as agents and staff, okay? So when you first get in here, you're going to go to your sign-in. Your sign-in name is going to be your vanity email login that you would have received from Century 21, and this is where you're going to put in that temporary password that you would have seen. So I'm going to go ahead and log into my account. And I want to show you an easy way to access all of these tools and services that we're going to be talking about today, and one really easy way of looking at them. So once you're on the dashboard, and excuse me, my internet is a little bit slow today. So hold on one second. Everything we're going to be talking about today, if you click on menu and go to the Productivity Hub, this is your way of seeing all of the tools and services in an A to Z format. So that's what I'm going to be going over today. Okay, so we're just going to be touching on some of these different tools. So I'm going to kind of start at the beginning, and I'm going to go through the ones that I want you to be aware of. Now, anything that I skip over today, feel free to go back in, take a look, play around with it. There's nothing you can mess up in this system. So go in, click on some of these things, and check out what each of them are. So the first one I'm going to be talking about today is going to be the Brand Studio. So this is anything related to the brand. This is where you're going to go to get logos. It's where you can go and get high quality images. So it's a really nice way of you being able to access all of these, what we call assets from Century 21, all in one easy format. So let's say, for example, you are doing an ad in a local, homeowners association magazine, or maybe you're doing it in a child's chorus program or whatever it is, and you need one of our Century Karaoke logos. Under library right here, if you click on my logos, this is going to bring up every one of our Century 21 Karaoke logos, whether you want it center justified, left justified, if you want it transparent, if you want it black, if you want it, Fine Homes and Estates. So these are all of our various logos, and all you have to do is just click on them, and whatever format you need, there's different formats for each logo, and you just simply download it right to your computer. So this is how you can access all of our logos. So they're all right here for you. The second thing I like to show you in here is called Asset Library. And if you've been on some of our sales calls in the past, you would have heard me talk about this before. This is where you're going to be able to access tons and tons of high quality images that are free to you to use. So if you've ever done any sort of marketing in the past, you may have had to purchase stock images, whether it's from iStock or Shutterstock or some of those other places that have those sort of those images. What we're going to be showing you is this is all of the different assets. So let's say you're wanting to do a really nice Facebook post. about firefighters or about the medical community or whatever it is. You have really nice high quality images that you can just simply download. They're all free to you, and you just use them in your social media ads, whatever it is. There's some great pictures of vets. So if you're dealing with veterans and maybe you're a former military yourself, there's some great images on here for you. And you can even go down here and you can sort through some of them. So for example, there's even social media posts. If you're looking for some really great images to use in a social media post, there's some on here for you. There's some with, regarding COVID. There's some regarding dream big and not giving 121%. There's a bunch of little like posts that you can do about being virtual and all these different things. So there's a lot of really great material on here that you can use. I also love, under the stock images, all of these high quality images. So let's say you need a picture of a family, or people looking at property or whatever it is. You can go through here and say, oh, I need this picture of a kitchen, or I need this picture of a living room. So there's some really nice high quality images that you can use in here. You can use them for free, but you're not using your own camera. It's high quality, high definition photos. There's even recipes on here. So there's really great stuff on here that you can share and use in your social media. So that is the brand studio. So that is right under here, and that is anything related to the brand. You can also see things like commercials on there. So check that out when you get a chance. If you are wanting to use the vanity email, for example, I have purchased my Katie.Acosta at century21.com. It is $4.44 a month if you actually want to use that as a working email. Right now, if you're new to the system, you're really just getting it as a login. But if you actually want to use that as an actual email, you can do that. You would go here to branded email. And it is, again, a very protected server. That's why they charge that fee. But you can go ahead and get that, your name last name at century21.com. So if you're interested in getting that branded email, you can go right in here and purchase that. The next thing I'm going to be talking about is Business Builder. So this is one of your ways of being able to stay in contact with your database by an electronic means. In other words, email. So this is, hold on one second, let me let two people in the room. So this is going to be if you are wanting to do, let's say, an email campaign. So let's use the example of you have 100 people, 100 emails in a database. So maybe you've been doing some open houses. Maybe you've been working with some leads. Maybe you've talked to some neighbors, and now you've got a database of about 100 potential customers that you'd like to market to through email. Business Builder is a great way to do that. So I'm going to show you some examples. And again, everything I'm talking about today has training on it. Through Century 21 University, there are a bunch of different training sessions on this. You can also go into help and see training videos. So every one of these apps, you can get additional training to learn how to use the system. But just to give you an overview of what you can do with this, so in this case, let's still use my example of I have 100 email addresses that I want to market to. What I would do is I would come to Business Builder, I would import or enter those email addresses into the system, and I could do something like a monthly newsletter. All of these are already created for you. I did not create this newsletter. It was already created by Century 21. All I did is I went in and I added my photo and my cell phone number and my email address and whatnot. And this is an example of what my customers would get as a monthly newsletter. So they're going to say, hey, it's real estate news provided by Katie Acosta. There's two really nice articles in here. In this case, the first one is about boosting your appraisal value. The second one is about flipping homes and how they're very popular right now. So these two decent articles, very good reading articles, but not too much. At the bottom, they have your website, your photo, your contact information. So every month your customers are going to get this newsletter. Now, the important thing and the important reasoning behind this is you want to make sure your customers, regardless of if they're a buyer, a seller, a renter, even if they're not purchasing for another year or 2 years, you want to make sure your customers get something from you every month. And it's very easy to do with a newsletter like this because you put it in, it's free, it gets sent right out to your database. Once your customers see this every month, they may not read it, but the idea is that they realize, I got another email from Katie, my Century 21 agent. I got another email from Maria, my Century 21 agent, okay, or Blair. So we're reminding our customers that, hey, I'm your Century 21 agent, don't forget me. Okay, so this is a really great way of keeping top of mind. Once a month, you're reaching out and touching those clients and sending them an email. So that's the newsletter. However, let's say, for example, you didn't want to do a newsletter and you wanted to do something a little bit more, maybe that has a little bit more content to it. Well, in that case, we have marketing campaigns. So there are dozens and dozens of marketing campaigns. Also, many of them are translated into Spanish. And you can come in here and set up a campaign. Now, these campaigns are already created for you, much like the newsletter was. I actually customized one, but I want to show you what that looks like. And again, you just upload your customers into the system. You could even separate people out into groups. So you can have my first-time home buyers group. I can have my investors group, and then each group gets a different message sent to them. This is what the email campaign is going to look like. So this is a little different from a newsletter. This is the email campaign. So this is going to be a little bit more content driven, but more for people that are closer to buying. So rather than a newsletter, which is a little more generic, this one is going to be how much can I afford? And it's a nice little, paragraph or two. And then again, at the bottom is your information. Then we have others. It goes on to, alternative loan programs, down payment, home buying anxiety, building your wish list, PMI, and, what not to do when buying a house. So there's really a nice, more sense of urgency email campaign that you can send out maybe to those buyers that are a little bit more closer to buying. So those are a couple different options, but there's dozens and dozens of campaigns. You could do postcard campaigns that are emailed to your client that, say happy birthday or happy, home buying anniversary, whatever it is. And all of that is right under the marketing center. In fact, if I click on it right here, you'll notice all of the different things, campaigns, newsletters. You can even create printed stuff. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with this, but that's Business Builder. So that's Business Builder, and that's your email way or email marketing way of staying in touch with somebody. Right here, just to breeze over this, this is where if you haven't ordered business cards, you can do so. Express Docs is a company that Century 21 has a relationship with. However, there are many other companies out there that do business cards. My suggestion, if you haven't ordered business cards, just go into Google, type in Century 21 business cards, and you will come up with probably more than a dozen different places. Bestprintbuy.com, printerbees.com. My favorite is realty-cards.com. So there's a lot of great places to order your business cards, but this is one option for you if you haven't done that. Also, if you're in the mood for some shopping, you also have a promotional shop here where you can go in and order Century 21 branded apparel. So if you needed a shirt or a tote bag, or maybe you wanted to get a closing gift for somebody, they even have golf balls and golf bags and things like that with the Century 21 logo on it. These are really great to have if you are going to any sort of events. And don't forget that Monica was also selling some great t-shirts as well. But if you want to just get some good branded stuff, you can come right in here and shop to your heart's delight. Over here under the Century 21 University. So let me talk to you about the different levels of training you get with our company. So the very most and most important type of training is what you're getting right here. This is our karaoke training. This is what you have on your calendar every day at 2 o'clock. We do some sort of training. The reason why our training is important is because we're teaching you the way Florida does things. We're teaching you how we want things done, the correct and ethical and lawful way to write a contract. So that's what we teach you. The second level you have is, of course, your board of realtors. You all are paying dues to your board of realtors. Please take advantage of the wonderful classes that your board teaches. They're doing a lot of them online now. So if you haven't checked out your local board's website, do that, because there's really great classes as well that they provide. Your third level is going to be C21 University. Now, this is at the corporate level. So this is somebody from corporate teaching classes. With that said, keep in mind that these classes will not be reflective of Florida real estate. Remember, they're teaching it out of New Jersey. They're teaching it to all 50 states. So Florida, they're not going to be specific on our law. That's where our classes come in. But Century 21 University has wonderful classes. There's one in particular that if you are new to real estate, I highly, highly recommend you doing it. And that is the Create 21 class. So there are tons of training in here. You can get designations on here. You can learn about things like Business Builder and the different classes that or the different tools that I'm going to be talking about today. But more importantly is there's some really great extensive classes. So for example, let me go into this and I want to show you what Create 21 is all about. Hold on one second. My internet is a little slow today. Let me see if I can find the class. There it is. Okay. So there is a class, and this is a self-paced class. So it's called Create 21. And it's my favorite class that Century 21 Corporate teaches, and it's specific to newly licensed agents. So if you're new to the business, or maybe even if you've been out of the business for a while and you're getting back into the business, this is a really great class for you. This particular one is self-paced, which means that it's pre-recorded. So if you have trouble sleeping like I do at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you can get right on here, go into here and watch a couple hours worth of classes and, you know, watch it at your leisure. So if you're in the Create 21, right here under course materials, you're going to see all of the handouts for all 12 sessions. There's about 12 hours worth of course, worth of videos here for you. This is all of the corresponding materials. And then right here is all of the course recordings. So from 1 to 12, all of the recordings. This class is really great because it's very all-encompassing. It talks about building a successful foundation, the power of influence, FSBOs, expires, cold calling, preparing the listing. It goes through the whole listing presentation, marketing it, finding buyers, negotiating deals, and building a business. So this is a really nice, you know, well-rounded class if you're coming in new to the business. Again, it's under Create 21. I just went to Learning Library and I was able to find it that way. So that's a really great class. It's free. You can watch it whenever you want. You can watch them out of order, whatever you like. Other than that, there's tons of classes on here that you can check out. Feel free to come in here, take a couple of them, look at some of the pre-recorded videos that are on here, but you'll be amazed at just how much information is right here in the Century 21 University. So I'm going to go ahead and get to the next one. So next we're going to be talking about discounts and perks. I'm not going to go into this one, but you're not only do you, but also your customers have certain discounts for being a member or a part of Century 21. There are discounts in there for pod, budget rent-a-truck, some moving companies, hotels, things like that. So be sure to check that out. You've got a little bit of discounts coming your way. Events, this is any events that we have going on, conventions, conferences, things like that. Right now, there's nothing going on, but when there is, that's when we talk about it and that's where we advertise it. The next one I want to talk about is right here, My C21 site. So My C21 site is one of the 2 free websites that you get for being with Century 21. So you have 2 optional websites. You have the My C21 site, which in my opinion is a little bit more complicated, or you have the Zap site. So that's My C21 site. And at the very bottom, you'll see the Zap site. I do training on both of those. I do more training now on Zap because I find that My C21, this one tends to be a little bit more complicated for agents. If you are interested in learning about this site, feel free to email me. Otherwise, I do a class every month on on the Zap site. So I'm just going to stop for just a second. I want to actually go in real quick, and I'm going to type in my email address into the chat box. If you ever need any videos emailed to you, oops. I think I sent that to somebody specific. Hold on one second. If you need videos emailed to you, I just typed my email address in the chat box. So if you're interested in getting a head start on setting up one of your websites, I can send you the link for the training on both of those if you like. Otherwise, I am doing a Zap class later this month. I'm not sure when that's going to be. Okay, so let me go back and share my screen. Okay, so that's the My C21 site. Next, let's talk about Preferred Client Club. So this is one I really, really like. So we talked about Business Builder, which is your electronic or email means of staying in contact with your clients. This is physical printed mail. So Preferred Client Club is a little bit different. This is not email. This is direct mail going to your customer. Oops, what happened here? Sorry, we have a little bit of a slow internet today. Okay, so this is the Preferred Client Club. So hopefully you should all be able to see my screen right now. So this is a Preferred Client Club. Let me tell you what this is. It's not email. This is direct mail going to your customers through the company that produces the magazines. These are magazines, postcards, and a calendar that are printed with your information on them. So there is a cost involved with this one because obviously there's postage and there's printing cost involved. However, it is so very, very inexpensive. You'll see what I mean when I talk about it. So let's say that you have a particular customer that you really want to stay in contact with. Maybe they've sent you a couple leads. Maybe they've really gone above and beyond on helping you with your business. And maybe they're going to give, the listing back when they're ready to list it. So it's somebody you want to stay in contact with. For as little as, let me show you how much this is. Oops, preferred client. So the Preferred Client Club is very inexpensive. It is based on each client. So it's $25 per client. Oops, hold on a second. Oh, I'm not going to do that. All right, so I'll just talk about it. So it's $25 for a 2-year subscription. So if you think of it, it's only $12.50 a year. So it is per client. So let's say on this particular client, one of my favorite clients, they've done a lot for me. They're loyal to the bone. I really want to make sure that they have something from me. So for $25, I can set these clients up for a 2-year subscription. Over the course of each year, remember it's for 2 years, over the course of each year, they get 3 issues of a magazine branded with you. They get 2 seasonal greeting cards in the spring and the fall branded with you. At the end of the year, they get an annual wall calendar for the following year branded with you. And then they get a do-it-yourself guide that's like a coffee table book, again, branded with you. So they get 7 pieces of mail over the course of the year. So for $25, 14 pieces of mail through the course of 2 years. Here is what the actual magazine looks like, and it's a really neat magazine. The wonderful thing about this publication is not only is it branded with you, but it's a tabletop kind of a book. It's not a book that really loses its date. It might be summer and fall, but it's not really something that loses its date. There's nothing pop culture about it. So it's something that can sit on someone's coffee table for a long period of time. If you're looking at my screen, you'll see the example that I'm showing you. Down here at the bottom, this is where your information would go. So you would have your headshot, your contact information. And as your customers flip through this magazine, there's things about summer. There's a lot of stuff about decor, home improvement, flipping homes, making your home's value. All of these wonderful things about home. This is about a dog-friendly yard. So really good articles. And again, all branded with you. So 7 times throughout the year, your customer gets something. So I really like this. Trust me, you will not be able to get magazines printed with your information on them for as little as what this is. And it's sent out directly to the customer. So you don't have to worry about postage. It gets sent out directly to the customer and you don't have to even touch it. A great idea with this is if you have any friends that are lawyers, attorneys, doctors, dentists, maybe you have some family and they're a dentist or whatever it is. If they have a waiting room where there's a lobby and people are looking at magazines, why not spend the $25, send this to that dentist? They're going to get that magazine. So your magazines are going to be sitting on the coffee table in their waiting room with your information and your headshot on it. So there's a lot of great things to do with these. I also have agents that will send this to themselves. You can mail it to yourselves. And guess what that looks like? So if I get these magazines, and let's say I send them to myself, I bring them on a listing appointment. And I show the others, and I show that seller or I show that buyer and I say, look at what I do for my clients. Look at the type of marketing that I'm involved with. So it's a really impressive piece, even if you're using it as a listing tool to get that listing. So that's the Preferred Client Club. And again, it's very easy to use. It's only $25. You come right in here and you can actually add your customers right in the system. You pay your $25 with a credit card and they get that mailing for 2 years. Without fail. And if they change mailing addresses, you can even go into the system and change their mailing address. So that is the Preferred Client Club. It's one of my favorite tools to stay in contact with your customers. So it's a really nice little thing to keep in mind. The next one I like to talk about is Real Satisfied. So Real Satisfied is your survey tool. So all of you get with us a Real Satisfied platform. And what this is every time you turn in a contract, whether you're turning in a listing or you're turning in a new sale, we're going to be asking you for your customer's email address. Once the sale closes, within 48 hours, Century 21 will send a survey, a very lengthy survey to your customers. Hopefully your customers complete that. When your customers complete that survey, and let's say they give you a really great testimonial, you're then going to get that result back. We all know that customers nowadays are Googling us. They're looking at us. They're trying to look for reviews. So the more positive information you can have about yourself on the internet, the better. So I'm going to use an example. I'm going to show one of my agents, and we'll kind of look at someone's profile, and I'll show you what you can do with this. So you can actually connect your social media to this as well. So every time you get a review, you can come in here, you can see all of your reviews. This is for one of our agents, Angela Sessoms. So you can come right in here, you can see all the testimonials of what your customers have said about you. This is a really good opportunity for you to be able to share those testimonials, because if you're going to list a property and you're listing maybe $1 million home or even a $200,000 home, sellers want to know that other sellers have had a pleasurable experience with you. So this is your way of collecting those positive testimonials. You can connect your social media to it. So once you get a testimonial that comes in, if your social media is connected to it, it'll prompt you and it'll say, hey, Katie, you have a new testimonial waiting to be shared. And I click the button and it shares it on Facebook. So this is your Real Satisfied platform. It's your way of being able to connect with other, I'm sorry, not connect, but to be able to share those particular testimonials. Sorry, hold on one second. Let me wait till this gets off. Hold on one second, guys. Let me close out some of these windows. So that is the Real Satisfied system. Let me get all these closed out. Okay, let me go back. Okay, so let me go back and we're going to go back to our Productivity Hub. So we talked about Real Satisfied. This is where your surveys are going to be located. The next one we're going to be talking about is Golden Ruler. So Century 21 really wants to provide a lot of tools to our listing agents. The reason being is that it takes a lot to get a listing. Sometimes you're up against 4 or 5 other agents. Maybe you had to go a couple times to the house. Maybe you had to reduce your commission. Whatever the case may be, you worked hard to get that listing. So we want to make sure that we're giving our listing agents tools that you need to make you look like the superstar listing agent that you are. The first one I want to talk about is the Golden Ruler. So the Golden Ruler is where you can send a weekly syndication report to your sellers. So let's talk about what that is. When we get a listing and that listing gets put into the MLS, your property or your listing is syndicated to hundreds of different websites. And what that means is that basically that listing gets put onto hundreds of different websites, anything from realtor.com to Zillow.com to homes.com to wallstreetjournal.com to all the different avenues, offices, all of the various places that we want this information to be. That's what's called syndication. It's spreading that listing out to everybody across the nation so that we can get maximum exposure for your listing. I want to show you what one of those reports could look like. So let's say, for example, you're doing a report for one of your sellers and you want to send them their weekly report. Let me go ahead and see if I can pull up one of our listings. And I'll show you what an example of one of those looks like. Let's see, let's see what this one is. Okay, so I'm going to show you an example of what one of these reports would look like. Actually, yes, that's a good one. Okay, so this is a report for a condo we have listed. So this would be going to your seller. This is an example of what the email would look like that goes to your seller every week. So what this report is going to do is it's going to show your seller how much syndication they've gotten for their listing, how many views have they gotten on their listing since it's been listed. So in this case, we see that there's been over 13,000 views of this property through all of the various syndication sites. We show that our MLS alone has close to 6,000. Zillow had about 4,000, Realtor.com about 1,500, and then you can go down the line. You can also see the top 10 cities where people are viewing this property from. Most of them are coming from Orlando and Kissimmee, where the property is located, but we see others from St. Cloud, Clearwater, Tampa, and whatnot. At the bottom of the email, you see the agent's name and contact information, so the seller knows that they're getting this report from you. And if the seller wanted to, they could even click on View More Stats and see additional information, such as a breakdown of the number of views, when the majority of the views are taking place, as well as a map of where the views are coming from internationally based on IP address. So this is a really nice report that gets sent out every Wednesday to your sellers. You just have to come in here and set it up and tell the system to do it. Once you've done that, your seller's going to get it every week on Wednesday until the property sells. The reason why this is good is even though I may not have sold this property yet, I'm reassuring the seller that they chose the right agent when they chose me. So I'm reaffirming to them that yes, you chose the right agent. I'm giving you all of that syndication. I'm advertising your property to the maximum amount of internet users, right? So that's what we're trying to do here is we're reiterating to the seller that I'm doing my job. You hired the right agent with me. Okay, so that's the golden ruler. That's the golden ruler listing tool. Next, we're going to go back to the productivity hub. We're going to go down to Toolkit CMA. So the next one I'm going to show you today is another favorite of mine, and I used to teach a class on this, and I still will probably do another one in the future, but there is training on this that I'll show you in just a second. So Toolkit CMA is where you can come in and prepare professionally done CMAs and listing presentations for your sellers. So this is a nice way. You can come right in here. You can create a presentation, or you could even create property flyers. So if you're needing to create a quick flyer on your listing, you can go right in here and do so right here. I'll show you an example of what I like to do. So this is something that I like to do, and I teach a class on this occasionally, talking about the listing presentation, but I want to show you an example of how nice this looks. So when you do a pre-listing presentation, I like to do a nice little cover for this as well, but the listing packet is all marketing material. So this is already put together for you. It's all prepared by Century 21. So it's already branded, it's already put together. I did not create any of this other than adding my logo and my contact information. What I really love about this seller presentation is that you appear on every page of that presentation. So as the seller's flipping through the pages, whether it's 20 or 60, depending on how big you want that presentation to be, every page has my information, my headshot, my contact information. The reason why that's so important is we're again reiterating to the seller, I want them to know my name. I want them to, by the end of reading this book, they know my name and maybe they have my cell phone number memorized, right? So that's why this is important. They see my face, they recognize my name. I'm getting it in their head that I'm their C21 agent. Okay, so this is a really nice marketing tool. It goes through everything about Century 21, the amount of city or countries and territories we're in. It goes through everything about listing a home, what we're going to do when we list that home, all of the various syndication that we do, and all of the various websites that we're going to put their property on. So this is a really nice tool that if you are planning to meet with a seller and you want a nice presentation, come into Toolkit CMA and really put a nice one together. On the main page of Toolkit, right under here under support, up at the top, you're going to see a bunch of different ways of you getting additional training, between a live one-on-one training with one of their reps to videos to just about anything. So again, all of the things that I talk about today are all going to have additional training that you can go and look at. If you decide to use this for an actual CMA, let's say I want to actually use it to put together a pricing strategy for my listing presentation, you can go ahead and do that as well. So let me show you what that looks like. Hold on one second. And you could also create a tablet presentation. So maybe you want to print one of these out in person and bind it and bring it with you for your seller. But you also have the ability to do a tablet presentation if you wanted to have it on an iPad and you're flipping through the presentation while you're sitting in front of your sellers. But here is, let me save this real quick. I want to show you what the actual CMA looks like. So if you are using this system to do a CMA, this is what the CMA is going to look like. Now, the wonderful thing about this system is everything is branded with Century 21. If you're using the nice one from the MLS, so MLS gives you a free CMA tool as well. That one's really great. But remember, the other 4 agents you're competing against might be using the one from the MLS. So why not use something different? Why not use the one from Toolkit? This is an example of what the actual presentation I'd be bringing for my seller. It has a nice introduction letter, goes through, and now this does take a little bit of work. You are going to be connecting this to the MLS and uploading your comps that you want to use. But what it does is it puts all those comps into a nice format. It has them side by side. Your seller can see what's currently on the market. Your seller can see what's currently under contract, what's sold. We're giving them all of this information because we want to be able to back up the price that we're going to be suggesting to them later on. So this is our way of backing up all of the numbers that we're going to be giving to them later on. So the CMA goes through, and notice again, at the bottom of every page is my headshot and my information. So we're once again showing that seller that I'm your Century 21 agent. It does some great side-by-side comparisons, but then at last, in the end, I'm going to zip through this. It does some nice graphs. So it'll show them the graphs of the recently sold properties, what the median, low, high end, or high values are. It'll also then give them a price range. So the system will generate a price range. This can be modified by you if you wanted to. So if I don't want my sellers to list it as high as $269, then I can adjust this down to $265 or whatever price I deem fit. So this is the CMA portion of it. So again, that is your Toolkit CMA. That is what you're going to use if you are creating a listing presentation for your seller. I'm going to stop for just a second. I want to make sure that I don't have any questions. Okay, perfect. Let me get back to my second. Okay, let's go ahead and share this again. Okay, so we're back on the Productivity Hub, and the next one I want to talk about is unique property sites. So if you have any listings that are currently active on the market, you can go right in here, and we're going to be showing you how to do unique property sites. I am going to be accessing it a different way though, because I don't have any listings, so I'm going to be accessing it a different way, but you're going to be accessing it through the through the unique property sites. So if you have a listing and that listing goes into Century 21, within 24 hours of it going into Century 21, that property will have a unique property site created for it. Unique property site is a unique website dedicated only to your listing. So let's use an example. I'm going to grab a property here. Let's use this example right here. Let's look at the unique property sites on this particular listing. So this is one of our agent sites. Oops, hold on one second. Okay, so we get the property into Century 21. Within 24 hours, this is created. You have not done anything. You have not created anything. You have not spent any time on this unique property site. It is automatically generated, pulling the photos from the system. Okay, so if it's in the MLS, we're getting it into Century 21, and then this will be created for you. So whatever photos you have in the MLS are the photos that it's going to pull. The reason why this is so great is, notice we haven't done anything to this, and it's still a really great looking website. Right up here in the URL, you'll notice that the URL is the actual address of the property. So 3840 gainescourt.c21.com. This is a website dedicated only to this listing. We have the contact information for the listing agent right here. You have all of the nice, big, beautiful photos. I love this house, by the way. Big, beautiful photos. You have all of the MLS description, everything taken directly from the MLS. And what are you going to do with this? Well, the most important thing is share it with your seller, right? So by sharing this with your seller, let's say a day after it gets listed, it already has a unique property site. By the way, this is what it looks like by default. You can even go in if you want to and customize this. You can add some different background. You can change the way the photos look. You can add some voiceover. You could add a QR code. So there's different things you could even do to enhance the one that's already created for you. But even as it sits, it's a very great site. So let's say I take this link, I send this URL, or maybe I post it on Facebook. I post this link on Facebook. Now I'm advertising my listings unique property site, right? So I'm getting my listing out there. Everybody can take a look at it. I encourage my seller to do the same. So now my seller is advertising this website on their Facebook page. What it does is it does two things. First of all, is it allows your seller to help you advertise the property with you. So sellers out there sharing it with his or her friends, trying to garner some more attention for it. But what it also does is it really makes you look like a superstar, because your seller's going to be so impressed that you had created this so quickly that they're going to be like, you know what, look what my agent did. So they're bragging on you. Meanwhile, they're still trying to sell their house. So it really helps. But this unique property site is a great way of you being able to tell the seller, once again, I'm doing exactly what I said I was going to do. I told you I was going to market this property. I told you I was going to create a unique property site. And here are those things, you know, less than 24 hours after I got the listing. So this is another way of reinforcing to your seller that they chose the right agent when they chose you as Century 21. Okay. So that is the unique property site. All right, I'm going to go back. Hold on one second. Let me wait till that thing closes. I'm going to go back now to my my productivity hub. Next, we're going to be talking about we already talked about Real Satisfied, so we talked about that already. We talked about all this. Let me go down to unique property sites. Okay, last but not least, on here, we're going to be talking about the Zap login. So Zap is the second free website that you get with us. I talked about my C21 sites, and now I'm talking about Zap. If you are new and you want a decent website, I strongly urge you to use the Zap site. The Zap site is a little bit more prettier. It's a little bit more user-friendly, and from an agent's perspective, it's easier to set up. So if you are a little bit more technologically challenged, or maybe you just want an easier one to set up, I strongly suggest going to Zap and learning that particular site. But you do get 2 websites with us. I am going to be doing a Zap class coming up, and I'm not sure when exactly that is. Hold on one second, I'll tell you. Oh, I'm actually got it coming up this Friday. So this Friday at 2 o'clock, I'm going to be doing a training on Zap. Again, if you have to choose between the 2, my personal preference is go with Zap. I'll show you why, just to give you an example. If you could see my screen right now, I'm pulling up. This is the first option that I talked about, which is my C21 sites. Okay, so my C21 sites. This is what that website looks like. It's okay. I like it. It's not ugly. What I don't like about this site is that the search bar isn't real prominent. I don't like that the search bar is a little bit hidden and it's kind of at the bottom. I really like the search bar and my headshot to be very prominent. So instead of this one, this is the one that I suggest. This is the second site that I mentioned, which is Zap, Z-A-P. I like the Zap site because similar to Facebook, it allows you to have your own background image. It allows you to have your headshot right there. But more importantly is then you can add content, you can add testimonials. There's a lot of things you can add to this. But what I really like is that the search bar is front and center. I like it because most people are going to come to your site for one reason and one reason only. It's not because they like, the way you look or your bio or anything like that. They're coming to your website because they want to search for properties, right? So make it easy for them to search for properties. That's why I like this particular site. So I am doing training on this particular website this Friday at 2 o'clock. So hopefully I'll see you on that call as well. Going back to the Productivity Hub, I covered everything in here that I wanted to talk about, but there's one thing up here that I didn't mention, and I have a few minutes to do so. By the way, when you first log in to 21Online for the very first time, let's say you're brand new, you just joined us a couple days ago, and you log into 21Online, it will take you through and ask for your preferences. Are you working with buyers? Are you working with sellers? It'll ask you for preferences that allow you to help set up your dashboard. But the easiest way I ever find to access this website is I always go right here to the Productivity Hub. Because this is going to be everything A to Z. So, they do break them up into different little categories up here. But if you go to this Productivity Hub, this is the easiest way to see all of the different services A to Z. You can click on them, you can play on them. And again, Century 21 does a lot of training on those. Last but not least is up at the top of your dashboard, right here, you're going to see something very important, which is called Workplace, okay? Workplace is a Century 21 corporate Facebook page. Okay, so this is different from, it's actually a separate platform for Facebook. So again, I'm going to show you where this is. Right up at the top of your dashboard, you're going to see this little symbol right here, right? It says Workplace. When you first click on this, if it's your first time clicking on it, it will ask you for your login to Facebook because it wants to confirm that you have a Facebook account. Once you've confirmed that, you will then have access to a specific Century 21 Facebook group that is only for agents, brokers, managers, and staff. It does not connect to your personal account. So you'll notice that my headshot here, if you're friends with me personally on Facebook, that is not my headshot. So this is only for business. You can have a Facebook headshot for just this, or you can have, your personal one. But this Workplace is all about how we get information from corporate. This is your means of interacting with other people from Century 21 corporate and from other Century 21 offices around the nation. Under the news category, I'll show you an example. Under the news category, I see things from corporate talking about a news, press releases, things going on in the franchise or in the industry. So there's a lot of stuff that it's really good for you to see. Different classes coming up, agents sharing information, but this is all corporate, right? This is all corporate stuff. So this is anything regarding, corporate, if they're trying to give you news or if you're trying to connect with somebody from another state that's part of Century 21, you can do so through this. However, there is one more Facebook group that I want to mention to you on Facebook, and I'm not going to pull it up, but on Facebook, look up a closed group. If you have not joined our karaoke closed Facebook group, I want you to join this. Now, it is a closed group, so Monica will have to okay, once you've hit join, she'll have to okay. But if you go to Century 21 karaoke agents, Century 21 karaoke agents, just go to look on Facebook, do a search. It is a closed group. Ask to join that group, and then that is our closed Facebook group for just karaoke. So that's where you and all of our other offices, we can share information. Does anybody know a plumber? Does anybody know a good roofer? Here's today's class link. You know, here's some great information. So it's all a really great way for us as a company to be able to stay in touch with each other. So if you haven't already done so, go to Facebook, join the Century 21 karaoke agents, and then Monica will let you into that closed group. That is pretty much it for today. So I went through 21Online. I went through the most common or frequently used resources and tools that are available to you. There are a bunch more. I encourage you to go in here, look at the award criteria, look at all these different things that I didn't mention today, because there's a load of information on there. You could even go up here and under working with buyers and working with sellers, right here, oops, work with clients. There's actually education on here as well. So you can, it talks about the buying process, increase business as a buyer's agent or a seller's agent, how to prepare a listing agreement. So there's some really great information on here as well. The best thing you could do is log into your 21Online dashboard and start having fun. Just start exploring, go into different things, set up your profile, do all these different things, because then you're going to feel more comfortable and you're going to be able to better access those tools and services that I mentioned today. So I'm going to go ahead and stop right there, and I'm going to go and see if anybody has any questions. Hold on one moment. Yes. Okay. So if you're interested in, I know I've told many of you to make sure you buy a domain name. If you're going to have a website, all of you should have a vanity domain name that you purchase through GoDaddy or any of the other domain name providers. Once you have that, take my Zap training and I'll be showing you how to redirect your GoDaddy domain name over to your Zap website. So if you bought a GoDaddy domain name, let's say katieacosta.com, once you have that, we then need to go into GoDaddy and redirect it to your website. All I can say is join me on Friday at 2 o'clock and I'll be teaching you how to do that. So thank you for that question. Does anybody have any other questions before I leave? Feel free to unmute yourself if you want to, or type them into the chat box. Hopefully I got you guys all a little bit more knowledgeable on the 21Online system. If you are an experienced agent who's been with us for a while, I hope I was able to introduce you to maybe to some of the services that you have not had access to before, or maybe you didn't know about. But like I said, just play around in the system. I'm going to send my email address again in the chat box. So if you need any videos sent to you for trainings that I've done, feel free to reach out and I'll be happy to do that for you. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Don't forget that we have a sales meeting this Wednesday at 11:30 that you'll be seeing your admin send out. These sales meetings are a great way for you to be a part of the company, see what we have going on. We always have wonderful and exciting things going on, so we look forward to seeing you on those calls. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks. Take care.